period of time, it has been defined, this is feminine. And anything that goes beyond that construct of what has been defined as feminine is always questioned. Our mothers have told us that skincare means you must be fair, have that fair and lovely cream, or tan is not gorgeous. In fact, I know so many swimmers or so many triathletes, so many runners, so many cyclists who are always like, what are you doing for your tan lines? And I'm just like, I flaunt them, baby. Like, I work really hard for them.
I know.
Yeah, we don't follow the imperial system. I'll break it down in kilometers. So that's a 1.9k swim. Most people are just going to get tired at the end of it. But not us. No. Followed by a 90-kilometer bike ride. And then we've got a 21.1 kilometer run to top it all off. What makes it the fastest? I do it faster than any of the other Indian females.
That's amazing.
When I was younger, I wanted to be married and have this happily ever after. And of course, the choices that I made at that point in time when I was dating were maybe not the smartest ones. I'm lucky and blessed that I was able to walk away from something which could have turned pretty toxic later on.
Hello and welcome. We're breaking the rules, but what rules are we breaking? Maybe not. Today we're breaking records. We've got India's fastest female triathlete, 70.3 Ironman. Tim Sharma, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
It's such a pleasure. Let's just unpack this entire fastest female story first for our viewers.
Let's do that. All right. What would you like to know?
Everything that makes this number come together, 70.3, and what makes you the fastest?
Okay, so 70.3 is miles, but because we don't follow we follow the metric system, right? We don't follow the imperial system. I'll break it down in kilometers. So that's a 1.9k swim. Most people are just going to get tired at the end of it, but not us. No. Followed by a 90-kilometer bike ride, and then we've got a 21.1 kilometer run to top it all off. What makes it the fastest? I do it faster than any of the other Indian females.
That's amazing. Congratulations. And I'm speaking to you, on just shortly after yet another podium finish. But what made Tim get into becoming a triathlete, running, swimming, biking, all of it? Where did it start?
So I think it wasn't. I didn't start off with like a vision of I want to be a triathlete. I've always been sporty. I'm an army kid. So back when we were kids, we weren't allowed to really stay indoors and create ruckus. Yeah. So we were kicked out of the house. Like, you got a lot of energy, get out and play. Yeah. So when we were kids, we played everything. And we were lucky enough to have the opportunity to go and explore different sports, whether it was through school, whether it was through the army ecosystem that is available. And I was lucky enough to have parents who encouraged me every time. Like, my first sport of choice was the king of sports, equestrian, right? Horses, because they're beautiful. And I remember I used to come back home. I've been bitten by a horse. I've been kicked by a horse. Wow. I've been trampled by a horse. I have fallen off jumps like I don't even know how many times. And while most parents would be like, okay, I think you should choose a sport that's not as risky, my mom was like, you know what, you've fallen down. I don't want you to know fear. So get back up and ride again.
Oh,
so,
that's amazing.
Yeah, so failure was not an option. So I think it all starts with your upbringing. When I was a kid, my parents encouraged me to go and explore all the opportunities. And I'm still doing that today.
That's great. So you grew up in different cities, I imagine, and horses were the thing. Equestrian was their big thing. But then what happened after that? You went into sort of a fitness mode. You wanted to stay with sport in terms of career choices. How did you navigate that?
My parents gave me all the exposure, and then suddenly they were like, oh, maybe we've like given her too much exposure, right? So they're like, remember that at the end of the day, you still need to have it's a non-negotiable in Indian households, at least. I think even till today, like MBA to karna hi hai, right? And so for me, it was they were like, you can do whatever you want, do it later. And at that time, I wanted to study horse business management. That's a course. And you get into breeding. And they're like, yeah, do it. But first, you do a normal finance degree. So I did that. I went overseas. And then, of course, once you go overseas. It's a different lifestyle again, because you are responsible or accountable for your finances, your living, so many of these things. And that's when I realized what a privilege it was for me to have 3 or 4 horses at my beck and call, because
This is your time in New Zealand.
yeah. So, and that's where reality kind of set in, and I realized that finances are really important. So I moved into the corporate role, and then I worked in the corporate for about 8 years. And I felt that there was a huge void in my life. So I started running as a hobby. And then passions as they are, it started taking a life of its own.
Yeah.
And then eventually I reached a point where I was like, a decision needs to be taken. You either go down the path of pursuing competitive fitness or competitive sport, alternative, or you focus completely on your
work at an office.
Yeah, at an office. And I chose at that point in time, a conscious decision was taken that I do not want to like pursue that corporate lifestyle, because it really used to put me literally to sleep. And I was bored after a point in time. So I chose this, and I think from there it started with training. It was just purely running. I got injured, then I got into cycling. So this has all been, it's all been a build-up over the last 20 years maybe.
Has the desire to take up new kind of sport or do new kind of things been driven by because you didn't want to do something else, or something bothered you in life, or like, say, I used to go off to sleep at offices? I mean, like what constantly drew you back to the idea of being in the world of sport?
I think it was the pursuit of excellence, just to see how much I could push myself and what I could achieve given my circumstances.
What kind of inspiration did endurance create in you?
I think it was really meditative for me. So it took me into, so we you see artists, right? Artists will sit in front of a canvas and they'll get lost for hours. Bakers, they get lost in their
batter,
batter or bakery. And for me, I was getting lost in that repetitive movement, whether it was one foot in front of the other, or if it was that one pedal stroke after the other. And in addition to that, it was the outdoors, it was the endorphin rush, it was like all these chemicals going on in my body, and I really enjoyed it. I was just happy. And that happy place is what I decided to opt for at every point in time. Because I had reached a point, so of course, like when I was in my corporate world, ambition is ambition. An ambitious person will be ambitious in whatever they try to do. So even in the corporate world, I had certain, checkpoints, like I wanted to drive a BMW, I wanted to like earn so much money. And I was being able to check those boxes, but that satisfaction and that happiness, I was not able to get that. And I think it was searching or the pursuit of that satisfaction and contentment that led me to this. And that's why I was like, for me, being outdoors, being physical is something I really enjoy, and this is what I'm going to pursue.
So you're almost 41, and people at 41, in sport, people sort of kind of say after 35 that they're retiring, essentially, right? But you're really at it, and there's obviously some sort of a give back from the world of fitness and sport, not just to you, but to your mind, to your body. What is it that it brings on the table for you?
I don't know where to start. Like, it gives you so much. It gives you so much. Let's start with the physical aspect, because you can see, right? Physically, it gives you the basic confidence to be able to be independent. Whether it is me going for a solo trip, I know I can carry my backpacks. Very basic. It also, to a certain extent, reverses aging. It makes you happy. It makes you, the endorphin rush, we've gone into the chemical aspect, so we'll stick with the physical. It makes you look younger. You get so many compliments. And that also gives you a boost to your self-esteem.
Yeah.
In addition to that, a boost to the self-esteem always leads to a boost to your confidence, so self-confidence. This goes into your personality development aspect. And then, like I was speaking, there's the chemical aspect, which is the endorphin, the feel-good. And remember what I was talking about, the pursuit of contentment. There's a certain amount of contentment that you get from all these different releases internally. So, I mean, there's no end to it. It happens everywhere. Forget that. You find a tribe of people,
Yeah.
right? And human beings are social animals. So there is no end to the benefits of being physical. Like, would you rather sit in a room chomping on a potato chips bag, looking at a movie? Okay, once in a while, that's fine. Or would you like to connect with people, have conversations that make you feel alive, whether it is the pursuit of endurance excellence or timing excellence, or it is just sitting down with a bunch of people thinking about how to improve your quality of life.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily for competitive people, it is for everyone.
That was going to be my next question. There is this impression that homemakers don't have to be gym goers, or gym goers means that you're essentially now, on some sort of a track to a success. Why is it that particularly fitness for women is considered an either or story? It's like women just don't want to be fit for the sake of being fit. They want to be fit, or they believe that being fit would require them to get into either a marathon running, or either the path to a triathlon or any such thing. Why are we so full of doubts around this area?
I think very frankly speaking, it's conditioning, and this is like generations of conditioning, right? So we don't have enough knowledge. Over a period of time, it has been defined that a woman needs to, this is feminine. And anything that goes beyond that construct of what has been defined as feminine is always questioned. And generally, people don't like to question the status quo of things. However, things are changing now, right? And of course, knowledge is power, and science is backing it up. And you don't even have to think about science. You just think back a few, not even centuries, a few decades, and you can see that even within the house, it was so much more physical, the work that we were doing. There was a lot more demand physically on the body, which is why on the few days, or they said very clearly that women don't need to go out of the house and do anything, because within the house, whether it was grinding the grains or it was washing the clothes, there was a lot of physicality which was involved.
Yeah.
And that kept people fit, right? Today, you have a lot of help at home. There's so much mechanization which has happened that the physical aspect is gone suddenly.
Yeah.
Right? And human beings, and I'm talking about women, but this goes for men as well. Like, it was a lot more, work was a lot more active.
Yeah.
Even reaching work was a lot more active. Like, now we've got cars, we've got
Metro.
we've got like such fancy ways of commute that the activity levels have gone down. We don't even like to take a flight of stairs, right?
Most conditioning in our society is driven by the patriarchy. There is often a conditioning that sort of comes within, like the aspiration gap to want to be fit, or this belief that, oh, you know what, I think skincare is far more important than, let's say, physical exercise, or that the need for one to, simply get into a regime is largely fearful because people think they're going to pop muscles like Popeye, and that's really not what I end up.
We wish we could pop muscles like Popeye. There's a lot of hard work that's involved in that. So again, I agree to a certain extent, but also we are comfortable in these predefined roles that have been given. If you actually, you work out, right?
Yeah, 5 times a week.
I'm sure that you have seen a huge difference in your skin, the quality of your skin.
Yes.
So physicality is important. The skincare, it's an important aspect of beauty.
My life's entire skincare is thanks to my workout, and I have been working out for 5 years.
There you go.
But I'm never able to convince many other women that that's really true.
It has to come from within. That's the truth of it
Seeing
all.
it is believing it.
It has to, feeling it is believing it.
Feeling it
Is believing it. Because initially the changes, you feel them. The happiness, the serotonin rush, you feel it. That contentment, you feel it. And then after 3 months, and the thing is, right, anything good, it takes time.
Yeah.
And so, yes, to a certain extent, the conditioning, yes, to a certain extent, we are the problem, because our mothers have told us that skincare means you must be fair, have that fair and lovely cream, or tan is not gorgeous. In fact, I know so many swimmers, or so many triathletes, so many runners, so many cyclists who are always like, what are you doing for your tan lines? And I'm just like, I flaunt them, baby. Like, I work really hard for them. Yeah, so it is, but it is changing.
You've spent a large part of your life dealing with injuries, realized that your nutrition was actually nearly crap at one level, and then you try to resurrect it. What exactly happened, and what did you have to do?
Oh, so again, so I go like pretty intense in everything I do, including my deficiencies, right? So
many women do, they just don't know they're going down that path.
So it was okay. So like I said, there were like these check boxes that I needed, right, to consider myself like, oh, I'm really successful. Part of it was like, of course, going to a laptop with my pencil heels, and going to office with the laptop, pencil heels, like a nice skirt, and dressing up and ordering takeouts and things like that. What I didn't realize, so obviously I didn't have the time to cook because I was busy going out and socializing, and what that affected was the quality of the food that was going into my system. I obviously at that time didn't understand nutrition, so I would eat whatever, however, especially the tastier the better. Not only did I put on a lot of weight, but without knowing, because there wasn't enough fiber in my system, my digestive system started taking a hit. I was back into fitness, and then I got into running as part of getting back into fitness. And then I got competitive. So suddenly my training intensity increased. And then before I knew it, and of course, so we also have this whole maxim of, maybe now it's changing, but at that time, it was no pain, no gain. So if you're in pain, yeah, you're doing it right. So every day that I was in pain, I'm like, yeah, that's where the adaptation's happening, baby. Until at one point in time, I couldn't put my feet on the ground.
Wow.
It was that painful. So when I went and met the doctor, he told me I've got stress fractures. And stress fractures is normal, but I had multiple stress fractures in both my legs. So right along both of my tibias. So I couldn't put my foot down. So for the next 6 months, 8 months, it was bed rest. But nobody could tell me. So someone's like, oh, it's because you've increased the intensity of training. But nothing was changing. Like even after the rest, nothing was changing. So I was going, my coach dropped me like a hot potato because he also was not able to give me any explanation, right? So it's, and I don't know if it's a comment I should make, but generally we have this habit of, if you can't explain something, just be like, you use the ostrich mentality, like if we ignore it, it'll just go away. And maybe for the coach it went away because I wouldn't ask him, how many times am I going to ask him, but I'm the one living with it, right?
Yeah. So what did you do about it?
So I had to study. So I spoke to nutritionists, and they were separate silos, right? None of them were talking to each other. And then I was like, okay, so I got a little information from them, but you can't keep harassing a person for like every small thing. So then I was like, God helps those who help themselves. So let me sit and study. So I went ahead and I studied nutrition, and that's when I realized the importance of nutrients.
Yeah.
And that's when I went and got my testing done. And that's when I realized I'm deficient in B, D, like you name it, I'm deficient in iron. Like I was deficient in everything. And part of the reason was that my digestive system was not absorbing. So even though the quality of my nutrition was good, the absorption wasn't happening because the system had shut down. So then there was like a complete revamp. And of course, part of that was also I started suffering PCOS. So these are, and like I said to you, right? Like they all come together. It is, fitness is not ki aap lage hue ho 4 ghante bhag rahe ho. That is not fitness. Fitness is,
you got to be smart about things.
You got to be smart. It starts with sleeping on time, focusing on recovery, eating right,
protein levels.
Protein is like, poor guy, man. Like, one is carbohydrate is such a misunderstood guy. And protein,
and sugar is king.
yeah. And protein is not given enough importance because protein is the guy who will like leave his job and he'll go running and do everyone's job, and because nobody else can do protein's job, we are just sitting there going, recovery is getting affected. I don't know why my fatigue levels are so high. I don't know why people around me are doing better, and then that comparison starts. Of course, that's another very negative thing, comparison, because everyone's fitness journey is their own.
This isn't important just for a person who's running a triathlon. It's important for somebody who's literally got a desk job. And why don't we end up talking about that?
Forget desk job. It's important for everyone. It is even the grandmother who is sitting there and helping around the house or doting on the grandchildren. Even she needs to have the protein. It is the building blocks of human body. People, they start losing their bone density and muscle mass as they age. So naturally, we peak at around our 20s, and from 30s, it starts declining. Women, so much more, right? So for women, it's even more. The only way, cardio is not going to help a woman with her bone density and muscle mass. Resistance training is. Strength training is. We don't have the kind of testosterone levels in our body that we will grow those muscles.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen, babe. Don't
And
worry about it.
after 40, you're declining all hormones anyway.
After 30, the bone density, you become so much more prone to osteoporosis.
Yeah. So linked to this is entering the 40s. And 40s comes with perimenopause. Thus far, life is considerably physical, and now it becomes, very mood-oriented and very driven by, I suppose, the environment, the emotions, and some things that are highly unexplainable. How are you seeing women around you, or even changes in your own body? And why do you think there's need for us to be very, very acutely aware of this? Because awareness is half the problem understood.
I work a lot with women as well, and I have a few trainees who are going through the period of perimenopause, and I can really see them suffering. Which has now, since I see them suffering, it makes me want to learn a lot more, because I know a few years down the line I'm going to suffer. So I've initiated conversations with my mother, her friends, right? And for them, it's just such a I get a very quizzical look, like she really wants to talk about this, but it's changing, and I hope that the more that we talk about it, the more that we exchange thoughts, ideas, personal experiences, because your experience to my experience is going to be completely different. Some people that I've spoken to, they've had like extreme symptoms through their perimenopause. And there's some people who've just gone through it and they've not even realized it, and they're like, oh really, like it's done? So it ranges from person to person, and I think a lot of it depends on of course genetics, it depends on nutrition, it depends on how fit you are, it depends on the ecosystem that you have around you, the stress levels that you have around you, and how you can manage them.
Great. I just want to ask you a couple of questions more. I know it's more to do with how do you see this fitness revolution in India currently? Do you think it's going to stay obsessed with fads? Women obsessed with weight, as in not weight training, but just weight. How do you see some of that unpacking and becoming a little more real than fad-led?
What I have observed over the last, say, 15 years is that, of course, there's been a huge shift in an awakening in the need of fitness, and it usually starts with I got to do this because I need to talk about it. I remember, like, even when I was working, initially the conversations used to be, where did you go drink this weekend? To now it's become like, where did you go run, or where did you go work out? Or even now retreats are very experience oriented, and that experience is usually physical or fitness based. Because like I was telling you, one is of course trauma bonding. So if you put yourself through traumatic experiences like marathon, that bonding is next level. But also that endorphin rush, when we share a coffee after a good workout, like it's a completely different bonding, social bonding, than it is. So that's where your friends also come in, right? So I think initially it will always start with a and this is what I've noticed, the observation has been that it will start as a physical requirement. And once you're into it for about 6 months, you go like, oh, okay, it's a habit. I like it. So suddenly it's become more of that contentment. And then maybe a year into it, it's become a drug.
Yeah.
And then then it takes a life of its own.
There's a saying that exercise is the most underrated drug for depression.
Absolutely.
And I'd like you to kind of just unpack that for us.
The easiest way to unpack it is like you go run and come back. Or forget run, like even go for a walk. If you're feeling sad, go for a walk. Go walk barefoot in a garden. You feel good, right? And like I said to you, physicality is very important to a human being. Not just to a human being, even to like anything living. Even a dog, if you sit him, like if you see, he gets excited every time you want to take him out, right? A horse gets excited when he sees an open ground. So anything that is living gets excited being in touch with the outdoors. So go out. Well, as soon as that happens, as soon as you start incorporating movement, now of course all of us can't go out all the time. It could be very polluted. It could be whatever, for whatever reason, time constraints, not safe. A gym. Go spend a little, because again, in fitness, there's 3 aspects. There is cardiovascular, which is your heart health. There is musculoskeleton, which is your muscle and bone. And then there is neuromuscular, which is cognitive, right? New movements. And as you get older, this helps keep your brain young.
And alert.
Alert. It reduces, well, it won't eliminate, but it reduces chances of Alzheimer, dementia. So overall health, fitness is very, very key. The body is made for it. As soon as that happens, there is a lot of chemical releases in the system. All the feel-good hormones, the ones that we use tablets and pills for, get released naturally with physical activity. Hence, you feel good.
Tim, thanks so much.
Good.
I really love the fact that this conversation has ended on the idea that fitness is also about happiness, and it's not a chore.